Welcome to Viridian. You have taken the first step in building your own independent business and what we believe will result in becoming part of a movement toward a more sustainable energy future. Energy deregulation has created an amazing opportunity for entrepreneurs like yourself to help customers make smarter energy choices. So what makes energy through Viridian smarter? We purchase carbon offsets for our energy partners' customers' energy usage. As you may know, Viridian is not an energy company and has partnered with Click Energy, a licensed energy retailer in Australia. As a licensed energy retailer, Click Energy establishes agreements with customers to provide energy. Viridian, as a marketing and sales organization, then purchases the carbon offsets for the energy that Click Energy provides. Viridian purchases carbon offsets in various locations, which are always detailed in Viridian's annual sustainability report. The energy and the carbon offsets are provided separately, but we package them together to give consumers a product they need and the opportunity to make a difference at the same time. One carbon offset represents 1 ton of carbon dioxide being removed or reduced from the atmosphere from an emission reduction project. The energy itself is no different than other energy, but it's a smarter choice because of the carbon offsets we provide. That means you should never refer to the energy as green, because it's not, but it is smart and responsible because of the offsets. You are an independent associate with Viridian, and your role is to let people know they can make energy choices which we believe are smarter. Each time you share these smarter energy choices with your customers, you are contributing to our collective impact. Be sure you don't misrepresent your role or lead your customers to believe you are an employee of Viridian or that you work for Click Energy. This would be considered misleading or deceptive conduct in breach of the Australian consumer law. As an independent representative of Viridian, you also have a few other responsibilities as you share these smarter energy choices. By following a few simple rules about how you share these choices and whom you share them with, you can ensure that you are abiding by the Viridian Code of Ethics and relevant regulations in Australia. There are 2 categories of regulations you need to be aware of: energy retail codes and consumer law. You should be aware that each state in Australia has energy retail codes that dictate the legal relationship between Click Energy, Viridian, and the customer. The legislation applies to connection, billing, credit management, and disconnection. Because Click Energy is the energy retailer and Viridian is a marketing and sales organization, you are not required to know all the details of the legislation, but you should know that it exists and what it applies to. The other law that is highly applicable to you is the Australian consumer law, which we mentioned earlier when talking about misleading and deceptive conduct. This law dictates the behaviors that are allowed and not allowed when it comes to promoting and selling products. Because you are a sales representative, you should be intimately familiar with this law to the extent it applies to you. To help you understand this law, we have created the following ABCs of being a Viridian independent associate. Acquaintances and friends only. Always share these choices with people you know. Viridian is a relationship marketing company. Think about it. Aren't you more likely to take a recommendation from someone you know? That's the cornerstone of our business model. You must not contact people you don't know unless they ask to be contacted. That means no mass emails or mailings, marketing door-to-door, telemarketing, or using auto dialers. Furthermore, if you were to send mass emails or do telemarketing, you may breach Australia's Spam Act and/or Do Not Call Register Act, and there are substantial penalties for doing so. Best behavior. Though this phrase may sound like a chiding from a primary school teacher, it's an important thing to keep in mind. Best behavior includes not contacting someone who has asked not to be contacted and contacting people only within appropriate hours. Use the regular business hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. as a general guideline. Additionally, and this should go without saying, don't use abusive or obscene language, and don't pressure anyone who has expressed reluctance. Unconscionable conduct or conduct that takes advantage of a person's inability to understand the agreement that they are entering into and then asking them to enter into the agreement anyway is another example of bad behavior that is not allowed under the Australian consumer law. The law prohibits unconscionable conduct, which would include selling to a customer who does not understand the decision they are making for any reason, whether it's a cultural or language barrier, or even because the customer is under the influence of alcohol or drugs. You should also not create a false impression or behave in a way that is likely to make a customer believe something that is not correct. Never say anything that is untruthful or leave out an important fact. This behavior is misleading and deceptive. The Australian consumer law specifically prohibits undue harassment, unconscionable conduct, which includes high-pressure sales techniques, and misleading and deceptive conduct. Your role is to introduce the products, let the customer make the decision, and do the right thing at all times. Clarity. A consumer can't make a choice if they don't fully understand what choices they can make. It is your responsibility to be completely clear. The easiest way to do this is to use your personal website, customer brochures, and other tools we provide. Using these tools will ensure you are telling the whole story about our products and are doing so accurately. Likewise, do not say anything that could be considered false or misleading. This means that you should not say that a particular service is of a particular standard or fit for a particular purpose if it isn't. For instance, you can't say things like Click Energy will provide better electricity or energy with greater reliability, because electricity comes through the same poles and wires regardless of the energy retailer, and this means that this statement is simply not true. The Australian consumer law refers to this as a false or misleading representation, and it strictly prohibits it. There are significant individual penalties for breaching the Australian consumer law, so let's do a quick recap of both the ABCs and the key aspects of the Australian consumer law, just to make sure it's clear. First, here are the ABCs. Acquaintances and friends only. No door-to-door sales, mass mailings, telemarketing, or auto dialers. Best behavior. Contact people who agree to be contacted and at appropriate times, and don't pressure them if they say no. Clarity. Make sure your customer understands what you are saying. Now we'll set out the key behaviors you must adhere to according to the Australian consumer law. These may also be referred to as marketing risks. No misleading or deceptive conduct. No unconscionable conduct. No false or misleading representations. No high-pressure sales tactics. Write down these ABCs and key behaviors somewhere as a reminder to yourself. Be aware that violation of any of these guidelines can result in the loss of your business and individual financial penalties. Before you can get to work, you are also required to review the Energy Compliance Guide, which is linked from the sidebar next to this video. Be sure you review the guide before you take the quiz for this video. And if you have any questions or concerns about marketing Viridian products, email askv@viridianenergy.com.au.